Hi, we're the low brass section for the Cambridge Symphony Orchestra, and as we're preparing for our June 16th performance of Midsummer Night's Dream, we get to use some rather unique instruments. We wanted to share that with you. So when Mendelssohn wrote Midsummer Night's Dream, the tuba hadn't been invented yet, for one thing, and they used a slightly different selection of brass instruments than what modern orchestras do today. So we're going to play this three ways, this excerpt from the Wedding March of Midsummer Night's Dream. We're going to play it the way that most modern orchestras do. We're going to play it the way that most modern orchestras would if they had access to the alto, trombone, and ophicleide that Mendelssohn wrote for. And then we're going to play it using all period-appropriate instruments so that you can get a sense of what this piece would have sounded like at the time that it was premiered. So first, we're going to play using completely modern instrumentation the way that most modern orchestras would play it. So that means the first and second trombone parts are used by large-bore orchestral tenor trombones. The third trombone part is a large-bore orchestral bass trombone. And the ophicleide part, I'm going to play on an F tuba. So here we go. All right, next we're going to play that same excerpt using the instrumentation that a modern orchestra might use if they had access to an alto trombone and an ophicleide. So first of all, the first trombone part Mendelssohn wrote for alto trombone. The alto trombone is obviously a smaller and higher pitched member of the trombone family. It's in E flat rather than B flat. And the lowest voice is for this instrument. This is called an ophicleide. This is one of the predecessors to the modern tuba. It was invented in the early 19th century, but pretty quickly was made obsolete by the invention of the tuba. This is a fairly awkward and unintuitive instrument to play, so once the tuba came around, this fell out of favor pretty quickly. But it is the instrument that Mendelssohn wrote this part for, and in fact, the ophicleide part in Midsummer Night's Dream, most of the time when this instrument is playing, the rest of the low brass instruments aren't. So I have to blend with bassoons and horns most of the time, which is actually easier to do on this instrument than it is on a larger tuba. This particular ophicleide is made by a French manufacturer called Gautrot in the 1860s. So yeah, we're going to play this excerpt from Mendelssohn's Wedding March and using this instrumentation of alto trombone, modern large-bore orchestral tenor, modern large-bore orchestral bass, and ophicleide. Here we go. All right, the last way we're going to perform this excerpt is using instrumentation very similar to what would have been used at the premiere of this piece when Mendelssohn wrote it. So that means alto trombone, as Mendelssohn scored in the piece, a small bore tenor trombone for the second trombone part. Third trombone is also on a relatively small bore trombone, but with an F attachment, which allows you to play the lower, more kind of bass trombone register notes, and ophicleide. Now, the difference between these smaller bore instruments and the larger modern orchestral instruments is these have a much lighter sound, a little bit brighter sound quality to them. And this is the way that this is the instrumentation we're going to use when we perform on June 16th at the Kresge Auditorium, because we feel that the lightness of sound quality that we can get kind of gives the whole orchestra a little bit more of a chamber orchestra sort of vibe, which is much more in keeping with the character of the piece. So Yeah, this is using instrumentation similar to what would have been used at the time Mendelssohn wrote it, and enjoy. So thanks very much for watching. It's been a lot of fun for us to work on this piece of music and to practice with these kind of quirky instruments. Hopefully we'll see you at Kresge Auditorium on June 16th for the Cambridge Symphony Orchestra's performance of Midsummer Night's Dream. Thanks. See you there.